Oi, oi! Episode number 7. They're coming thick and fast. I feel like this one's going to be a fairly juicy one. Loosely got some sort of agenda. I will quickly just brush over this weekend's betting, not because it wasn't the best results, but keep that concise. We'll talk about some of the stuff that's coming this weekend because there's some dirty horse names that are coming out this week. Obviously, got the Melbourne Cup, which is tomorrow morning. So if you want to stay up and watch that, we will continue the live stream till 5 in the morning. Of course we won't. I'll catch it in the morning. VAUBAN's going to win anyway, so we'll touch on that. A few people have got some decent bets on VAUBAN. I shared one of those on Twitter. How the bookies ever made him 100 beyond me, but we'll talk about that. Loads of stuff going on in the world of racing as well, right? People resetting their profit and losses, affordability checks. There's a good discussion, I think, that potentially ready on that. So if you want to drop any of your thoughts or feelings in the comments, do that. We were just talking before we came on as well, Jamie and I, that it's getting busy with racing, right? So we want to try and give you the best, I guess, like viewers experience. So we're going to try and look to get as many like weekend previews done as we can. And I think with those, we'll try our best to maybe go live, not necessarily last minute. They would usually be on a Thursday, but we do want to see what the declarations are. So I'll cement something in a bit more, but we've got some guests coming up in the next few weeks. Racing's really ramping up. We're in November now. And plenty to waffle about. Jamie, how the devil are you? How's your well, we can't say how your week's been. It's only been Monday so far. How was last week for you? Good week, good weekend?
Not too bad, Dave. I suppose we'll have to touch on a few things before we start. I suppose it was awful to see today. The main story of the racing world was that poor boy in America that died after that horse winning that brilliant race in the Breeders' Cup, and Cody Dorman. Terrible to see, and condolences to him and his family. After a great win, it was very enjoyable. The Breeders' Cup. We'll get onto that. I suppose on a positive note, it was great to see Dennis O'Regan win today and win at every race course in Britain and Ireland, which is a great achievement for Dennis O'Regan, the only man to do it. And congratulations to him. Punting boys, tough weekend, Dave, wasn't it? Very tough.
Very much was. How did you feel with Morge? I mean, I didn't message you after or see it after. I was surprised with how she didn't trade as short as I actually would have expected. I'd have thought she must have been a 101 loser. I think she was 1.22 maybe at the shortest, but maybe that's just the way the flat and the dirt stuff goes. But Christ, she looked like she was home and nose, didn't she?
Yeah, definitely. As I said to you when I did that little snippet there, I was just worried for a closer and exactly what happened. And of course, beaten by Godolphin, sure, that's the way it goes. I suppose the other one, what I put up is the Saint Segal. I was very confused about that horse, to be honest with you. I thought it'd be held up, but you knew it was going a bit too fast. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, but look, got a bit of €3.75 back there if I'm a millionaire. I suppose getting on to the rest of the punting, I suppose I went, as I said, I backed that Immortal. I lost 40 quid in him, back from €40 in the nose. Don't know what the story of that horse is, to be honest with you. He kind of got outpaced in the corner into the straight, and then he stayed on again. So he possibly could need a bit further, and probably might need 3 miles at the end of the day. He looks a stamp of a chaser, though, but is he going to be rated over 130 at this present of the time with your naked eye? I very much doubt it. The other one I backed at Ascot was I couldn't resist back in Man in the Sodexo Gold Cup.
Yeah.
It's questionable would he won. It looked like he was coming to win the race, do you know what I mean? But did Victorino have enough left? That's up to you to decide that, do you know what I mean? It's up to the punters to decide that. I thought he would have won. He looked like he was coming to win the race. I suppose the one to take out of that, of course, for the going forward for the Carl Gold Cup is Monbeg Genius, hampered and nearly unseated at the 4th or 5th last. He's definitely one I would be backing in the. I'll always go to the Hennessy, I suppose, the Carl Gold Cup. I did an all 20 stupid double in above in air because I thought Ali Murphy would clean up. I was very disappointed with India Var Blue. He was kind of all over the place. But there is a horse there. You can see he was kind of running on towards the end. Sean Bowen kind of looked after him really because he was a bit keen at the start. And I saw, you know, there is a horse there. Do you know what I mean? He will win races. There's no doubt about that. A bit annoyed with myself about Marble Sands, what a price he was after with the form behind Rare Edition last year. And I thought, he was a huge price. Chasing Fire was lifeless, to be honest with you. I suppose it'll question the form But I like to move it. The Ill-Fated, I like to move it, and Pembroke beaten by the other Twiston Davis. Our form doesn't look great, does it? Then I went at the Readers' Cup, of course, that night. Really enjoyed it. It was very good. People crib it. People don't like it. But I really enjoyed it. I just enjoy it. I don't know what it is about it. I lost another 25 euros to win a warm heart. Frankie beat me there. Another on-the-line job. And the only horse that won for me the weekend at the Breeders' Cup was August Rudan. Impressive. Yeah, impressive. I suppose would have been impressive if you didn't see that gap, but that's just Brian Moore. He's just a great jockey at the end of the day. Getting on then to I backed Darrell's horse as well. Lost in him, Katira. I don't know with Harry Skelton, like, do you know what I mean? Sometimes you just question what is he doing on a horse. Sometimes he looks great, the other times he doesn't. But he never brought the horse into the race. Now I know it was deep ground at Wetherby. I know it was deep ground, right? But you wear it well. It was a good run. Definitely a player in the Mayor's Hurdle. Sorry, I wouldn't give up on your horse, Dave, either, Lucia.
Agreed.
I think it just needs better ground. She just needs better ground. She looks like she was going to go past, and hopefully we might have a run off for Newbury. Hopefully,
that's it.
The next thing then, I suppose, I had two bets in Cork the weekend. I backed Percival de Galois, stupid. The old rule goes go with the better hurdler, and I was stupid there. But he fell. It was kind of a knocking fall, so I wouldn't give up on him. There's definitely probably a handicap, big handicap with him and down the line. I backed Cawley Tune in the Cork National, got chinned, sick. And then today, because I was down about 130, 40 quid, 50 quid maybe, probably, 150 quid. And I backed Bonte. I had a 20 quid free betting, and I backed Bonte. And then I had another 20 quid on Daryl Carter. Thank God for Daryl Carter, because Max Mayhem won at Kempton. It made me 80 quid. So probably last about 50, 60 quid the weekend, Dev. Small bets. Do you know what I mean? 20s, 25s, 30, 40s. That's about it. Like, do you know what I mean? There's no point in going chasing early in the season. Do you know what I mean?
No, and that's a key part of it. It is still really early in the season. So there's lots of bits of form where there's like it's tenuous form lines you're looking at. We're taking some punts on stable forms, whether they're firing the first time out. You don't really know the substance of the form from last season until you've seen a few runs at the beginning of the season. So it is a bit punty, isn't it? I was the ones that I backed at the weekend. Mino was just so annoying because I said it in the GG preview as well. Ascot's exactly the race course. You've got a keen horse. It either settles them down over a fence, or they'll start howling and hitting some mistakes. I know Eldorado Adam was keen the whole way throughout, but that made me massively look down on Freddie Gingle just for the fact that he's not experienced enough to be riding a horse that's got more control over him than like he's got over the horse, and that was a tiny bit worrying. Just for that, from like a future perspective with him, like I know if a horse is keen, there's only so much you can do, but I don't know. We like Eldorado Adams always run so well first time out. The change of jock, you would think that he would be capable of doing it. So I'm not like poo-pooing him completely for the fact of the ride, but I did wonder a little bit whether a more experienced jockey wouldn't. I don't know. He looked over his shoulder a few times, almost like he was. Am I going too fast? Am I not going too fast? Like it's almost like he needed a help, like in terms of what sort of pace he was going at in terms of running fractions, which is understandable. He is claimant. He's got like learning stuff, so that will hopefully make the man of him. But yeah, he was semi-annoying, but got a tiny bit lucky with the end of the race, didn't we, with some fallers and him managing to place. I had him extended to 5, so it would have been all right. But yeah, Hermino was annoying falling. Time Hill, that race was like so shit. I know there's been lots of talk about it on Twitter as well about the state of like the Stayers Hurdle division, but like that was real bad. But it's like is what it is. I got that Garlaw. I can't. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, the thing there about Time Hill, I was talking to Darryl about it. And I said to Darryl, I said, look, I understand. Remember, he said last year he was at Exeter and he kind of walked home in that 3 mile beginner's chase at Exeter in the Halton Gold Cup day last year. And I had a theory as well. Remember, he went over to Altai and they were giving out about the hurdles were too high or whatever, and he just didn't jump them. But that was deep ground at France that day, and it was deep ground at Wetherby the weekend. I don't think he likes it, to be honest. And it's first time out, so I wouldn't put out the red flag about him yet. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that he could be finished. Like, but I give him another chance because, as you said, the hurdle division isn't good at the moment. It's crying out for a star, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's it. And he just like was never at any point in the race where I was like, I wasn't like uncomfortable at the start, but there was never a point in the race where I was thinking, bloody hell, he's going to do this. Like when Harry Cobden went out wide on Red Risk, this is something that Andrew Mount touched on the GG show, saying about like how Harry Skelton's good at Wetherby, particularly with Molly Ollie's wishes did it in the past. He would ride out in front, he'd go off and set the pace, he'd like go on the outside because that's where the better ground is. And then seeing things like that, like Harry Cobden doing that to try and get the best out of him. And then you see Nolan just like tucked in on the rail behind like a wall of horses. I just don't know. I don't think it was a very smart ride, but there was nothing in the horse to suggest that he was close enough. Lucia's one, I don't think James Bowen asked for absolutely everything. Like, I don't think he was flogging her like that was a be-all and end-all type race. Don't think she would have gone past to win the race, but they were well clear of that Katira, weren't they? And I do wonder, like, obviously we saw Nico was booked to go ride the race at Ascot, whether they've just got Lucia ready for a prep run for maybe going like a handicap or whatever it is. She looked like a horse that was out there for days. So I'm definitely not writing her off. I would have still liked to see her go past and win because when they expect less and then they give you a bit more, would have been a bit keen. She's still 16s most bookies. Betfair went out to 25s and Paddy Power for the Mayor's Hurdle. So I would say that she's got a lot to prove to be a Mayor's Hurdley type one. But that was the first start. She had issues last year. So I'd want to see her again. And then hopefully we'll see her in a handicap. And then if she doesn't shit over in a handicap next time out, then she's dead to me. So we'll leave her as that. Was there any? I think there was one other. Yeah, Saint Segal we both got in on as well. But yeah, it was just a bit tricky one. Got to talk about the Charlie Hall as well because
what do you think?
I was at my mates for the weekend. I don't know if I mentioned that on multiple videos, but I was at my mates for the weekend. We sat down to watch the Charlie Hall. He'd had a couple of bets. He didn't like chase on Brave Man's game. But because we were out early, we didn't have a few quid. He had some money in his betting account. He's the guy that's got the 100 one on VAUBAN. He just thought, oh, bollocks, Brave Man's game, surely going to win this. Like, he's a good bet and all that sort of stuff. I did say to him, like, they're obviously, like, it is a prep run and things like that. But I did say, like, I wasn't, like, necessarily saying anything to put him off. When they came to a few fences from home, I said to him, your biggest problem now is Harry Cobden trying to be a fucking smart ass and just win it on the bridle so that he can be like, look how great my horse is, because it would make anyone think any differently of Brave Man's game if he won on the bridle or if he was ridden out to a finish. And as they went towards the second last fence, I said, he's just got to kick on and nick a few lengths. Not because I was predicting that he was going to make a mistake, but you don't know what's going to happen. Like, if they land on different strides or whatever, there isn't much time after the last at Wetherby. And it just annoyed me, like the hell out of me, because my mate's just sat there. He's backed the right horse in the race. 100,000,000% he would have won it. Anybody that's out there saying, oh no, Gentleman's Game was race fit and he would have we still beat him for speed and all this bollocks out there. If Brave Man's Game hadn't have ploughed that last fence, like that could be debatable whether they would have definitely won. I still think he would. If Harry Cobden had have nicked a couple of lengths before that, which he could have easily done, he would have won the race. And then you see people now on Twitter saying about, oh, he might go for the Betfair chase. Oh, it was a prep run, it's really good value for the King George, all that sort of stuff. It's just criminal, isn't it? That there's a bet in medium race there. Harry Cobden did not ride the horse to gain the best position in the race, and nothing gets said about it. Yet Ryan Moore gets a suspension and a $20,000 fine for the fucking great ride on August Rodin. Harry Cobden should get a £20,000 fucking fine, because I don't care. If you want to be a smart ass, if you get it wrong, there shouldn't be the punters that have to be out of pocket or be penalised for it. He should be out of whack.
There's a couple of things in it there. Is that it was his first run of the season, right? And two, was he holding on to much? Like, as you say, tired horses make mistakes. He looks like he was being small but cocky, but look, Harry Cobden to me is probably one of the best jockeys in England.
I agree, he definitely is.
That's just my opinion. Gentleman's Game was obviously race fit. This was probably his main target of the year. You just have to remember that as well. I can't believe people, as I said, you titled your own opinion, that I can't believe people are thinking this is a Gold Cup horse. I'm sorry, not a hope. This is a Grand National horse, maybe, yeah, on a bit of soft ground. That's just my opinion. Yeah, I thought it was a great run, to be honest with you. Before I go on to Ravens Game, I think Ohio Senior is just about time the horse goes for the stairs hard, like, do you know what I mean?
That'll be the debate because the stairs division's open. But I 100% think the horse is gone. doesn't want to do it anymore.
Maybe. Just give it one. I give it a chance at over hurdles and see how he goes.
Yeah, and I think they might do that, but he was so good over so many fences. And again, when I was there with my mate, I was like, Ahoy Signor's got to be trading sub 2-1 on the exchanges. Went on there and he was still 7-2. So the proper judges out there were watching him. He was foot perfect and he still barely shortened going in. It's almost like they were as soon as he makes a mistake, he's gone. But he used to make mistakes and come back, didn't he? I think his head's gone, mate. I properly do. But we'll see.
But Brave Man's Game, I suppose it is a good prep run. I don't think it'll run a bit fair chase, and I think it'll ruin it for the King George. So because that'll turn into a slog like it normally does. But yeah, I suppose he is the main bet of the King George. There's no doubt about that. Right, I'm probably one of his biggest critics. But Allaho, it all depends on Allaho running the weekend. On Thursday.
You like Shishkin around Kempton as well. Don't start swaying away.
I still like Shishkin. To be honest, I'm on Shishkin day because obviously what I said about he's been undefeated in Kempton. I think he's better right-handed. He's a bit more of a turn of foot to Braveman's Game.
It'd be a great race, wouldn't it?
But I'd love to see Allaho, but I'd be.
Oh, you will.
I wouldn't be holding to say that Allaho will turn up. That's the problem.
We'll see, won't we? Because he's entered for Thursday. He has obviously not been declared yet at the time of us doing this show, but like he should have gone there last year, but obviously he was injured. Like they've got to do it. They have to send him for the King George. He's tailor-made for that type of stuff, and it doesn't have to be the be-all and end-all. He gets a prep run in now. They blow the cobwebs over the King George. It could either be a bounce or not. They've got plenty of time to get him sorted for the Ryanair. And with a horse like him, you never know what they're going to get after. I would be buzzing to see Allaho, Shishkin, Brave Man's Game going at it around Kempton. Because especially last year, I thought Cobden gave Brave Man's Game a pretty shit ride in the King George. But Harry Cobden is the best jockey, I think, in the UK. He knows far better than I did. Went wide all the whole way around, didn't he? Was in I just wanted him to go and get close or any of that sort of stuff. But he judged it perfectly. The horse absolutely sleushed up. I'm not saying he'll get caught out tactically if, say, an Allaho goes clear, like he'll give him too much rope or something, but he does know how to get the best out of Brave Man's Game. I still do think the Weatherby ride, though, was him trying to be cute. And I know it's like I said with James Bowen on Lucia, they didn't want to necessarily, what's the point? What are they going to gain from doing something? But the reason someone like Ruby Walsh used to seem to have so many falls at the final fence, even though from a ratio perspective, he wasn't even the worst jockey for it, it's because he throws his horses into the fence. Whether you've got like a rival there to challenge against you, or you haven't, like they would do that almost without question every time. Ruby Walsh would potentially do that, and Harry Cobden usually does the same. Normally throws his horse into a fence. I don't know. I just think it's like they get the vibe from the jockey above, don't they? I think Brave Man's Game's quite an intelligent horse, and I think Brave Man's Game switched off because Harry Cobden sat above him like, we've got this, mate. So in the bag. Rather than like Bryony always talks about, she speaks to Pegasus. She'd say to Froden, "Come on, boy, we need a big jump here." I don't think Harry Cobden was that way inclined with Brave Man's Game. He wasn't saying, "Let's get a big jump and actually win this race." Now we're in it. He was saying, "We've done enough, mate." And I think that's the reason he fucked up. You saw Nicholls' face after as well, didn't you? Like Nicholls knew that he'd won, and then he does that because like Brave Man's Game went 101 as well, I think, didn't he? That's the reality of what fucking happened. But it is what it is. It's early season stuff. So like there are times and places to smash into stuff. Like when a Plutard goes and wins a Haydock Chase by miles, people are like, God, you should have the life on it. But then there's years when they flop. It's just that it's early season. If you've got balls to stick big bets on, then fair play to you. But that's the exact reason why I didn't have a bet on Brave Man's Game. I wouldn't want to get stuck in. I almost got real lured into backing a Ahoy Signor because the price went so big. But I just couldn't have him. The bad ground kills him. And I know Nicholls said that's the worst ground that Brave Man's Game's had to jump in, but Brave Man's Game handles slow ground just as good as any other horse, I think. So I don't think there's any excuses. Cobden made a mistake. There's no point having a go at him as though it's done now, move on. But I do just feel sorry for the punters. But then it's their fault for fucking betting Brave Man's Game and the Weatherby in it when you know the King George is the golden aim. Anyway, fuck the punters. Right. Is there anything else really that controversial we talk about from the horse racy?
I suppose going through a couple of performances, Dave, I suppose, from the weekend to take forward. I suppose, let's be clear about, was very impressive, I thought, in Cork. I suppose he needs a bit of soft ground. I suppose we'll see how good he is now, really, when he goes on to the Drimmore. It looks a hot Drimmore already, which is great. It'll be good on Hatton's Grace weekend. I'm going to go to one, the horse that you kind of fell in love with last year. I've tipped multiple times to win Mare's Hurdles, and it was in this yesterday, the Curran, the Black Brown Stakes or whatever it was called, and of course that the horse called Echoes and Rain. I see her hurdle marked is still as 153. I'd love to see her fall out of the back of the telly in a couple of races for the whole winter, or maybe get her dropped a few pounds. And I think this horse is tailor made for the county hurdle, and I've always said it. Tailor made for a county hurdle, and she could be a class. Now, I was watching Shamie Heffernan yesterday. She kind of got her settled at the start, and then she kind of bombed him in the middle of the race, and she kind of stayed on towards him when the winner Falcon Hate went and won the race anyway, because she was too keen all the way halfway through the race to the line. I think she just needs a good rattling, good pace, and good ground, and she could be the class horse in the race. And class horses do well in a county hurdle.
Agreed.
So hopefully, William Wundens. Hopefully, I know he's down under. Hopefully, she runs in the county hurdle, because I'd be very interested then. I suppose a couple other things. Carlisle yesterday, Johnny Who looked impressive in the naked eye to me. Quib, he's jumping a small bit, but I can't see this being a Supreme horse or a Bartlett horse. I think this is a pure Ballymore horse. He looks like he's all speed. Obviously, we'd like to see him in a better race. I wouldn't be afraid of backing him against Captain Ting and the Cello, put it that way, Joe.
I think a lot of people think the same as well.
Dubious jumpers at the moment. You just have to see him in a better race and see how good they jump. The other horse that I saw, I only saw the end of it. Someone called to the house, and was that I love this quote coming out. This Bird Road is a Triumph Hurdle horse. Look, I was impressed when the naked eye looks like there's plenty of speed, but it's Huntington at the start of the season, but none of the rest of the contenders have come out. Maybe it might go on to Cheltenham next week, 2 weeks' time, probably too quick. But don't want to just calm down a small bit. Let's let it give it another run, if you know what I mean, and see how it goes. Thunder Rock won the intermediate chase. I can see it's not in the Paddy Power. I think Thunder Rock in a better race is not, say, a better Manor Mission is like a 3-4 miler, you know, as a national horse, do you know what I mean? Would it jump as good as it did yesterday in a better race? You saw the mistakes it made behind the rear backer last year on New Year's Day at Cheltenham. Give it another chance, because they were saying that before the race, like, if it doesn't jump well, it might be going down stair hurdle route. I can't see it after yesterday's performance, like, because he did scoot up the hill, but in a better race, maybe the jury set out still with him. All the other horses that I said today, Dave, I watched Bonte at Hereford, and it stayed on. Looks like it needs further than 2 miles, but I see it's not in the Greatwood either, so that quibs that and forget about it. I'd like to see her in a better race, and she kind of likes Cheltenham, so maybe she might be one for a handicap down the line at Cheltenham.
Nice. There's loads of good races coming as well. Then we've got Betfair Hurdle, so there's options. There's all sorts of like juicy little handicaps that are dotted about. It is definitely exciting times. We say this every single year. I can understand completely why people are getting really excited about horses, because it is fucking exciting, and they could potentially be the worldies, but it is very early in the season still. I know we're in November technically, but we've got the next few weeks where things will start to ramp up. Doesn't mean you write off a horse just because they've been impressive early and you completely say, well, they can't be that good because they've run this early in the season. But you do just have to temper your enthusiasm, and especially until that race after. You want to see any horse back up, really, didn't you? But I do think a lot of the bookies, whether it's betting them next time out or even when it comes to Cheltenham, they disrespect them as much as, like, not us, but like the way that I put down the early season form. The bookies do it exactly the same. By the time it comes through to Cheltenham, you can have a horse that's put in a real decent performance at the beginning of the season, been logically beaten by something over the season just for whatever reason, comes back to Cheltenham in whatever type of race it is that's actually got a bit of a chance and becomes a bit of a forgotten horse. So yes, get excited about horses, but also calm the fuck down. It's the beginning of the season, and just whoa a little bit, I think, with some of them. There was a few bets I saw people put up that was, I think it was You Wear It Well to win the Weatherby race and then to win the Mare's Hurdle. I think it was 33s. But I did see the Johnny Who one was 33-1 to win that race and to win any race at Cheltenham. Now, when I saw that one after, yeah, that killed me, because that's the sort of one where you'd, from the hype perspective, rather than getting stuck into him on Hurdle Davy when he's a bit odds on, like you could potentially back him because the bumper form was there. But rather than getting real stuck into that one or taking a punt for Cheltenham, you for a small stake there, you could have the bet, couldn't you? Because if he was going to win the race, it was likely to be shortish for Cheltenham. And then again, it takes out of the equation what race they go for. So there's sometimes ways to look at it early in the season, these special bets with bookies, if you just want to have a nose and you're keen to get onto Cheltenham. But we'll see how things go. Right, we need to rant about a few things as well. I did have something sent in. I'll check the email mailbox if there's anything else, but I got a voice note from someone which brings us on to something that we need to rant about anyway. Let's have a little look. Let's get that one. I'll make sure it plays right. I normally play it on 1.5 speed in my WhatsApp. I think this comes across okay anyway, and then it cuts down the time a little bit. But are we ready for it, Jamie?
Do.
Right, so we're into the sort of the rant section now. The main ones we're going to cover is what this bit comes up in here. We're going to talk about the resetting of a profit and loss as well. There's actually quite a few things I potentially want to moan about. I don't even know if we've got time, so we'll just do whatever comes off the top of our heads. But bad boy of bowls, Scotty Roderman.
Hi, Jamie. It's Scotty Ruds. I just thought I'd quickly send this one into you boys because it's really pissed me off yesterday. All this stuff about affordability checks. I went into local hills where I've been going for the past 17 years, and a punter friend of mine, whose name I won't reveal, was in there, and he's in his 60s, this gentleman, so he's been around the block quite a few years, and he told me he was on a bit of a losing streak. So anyway, as he was going up to the counter, he told me that the staff behind the till actually asked him if he was okay to continue on gambling at his current rate. And his reply was, well, of course. That's just how I normally go. There's nothing different to what I normally do. But they actually said if he carried on losing at the rate he was, then they'd actually ask for bank statements to prove that he could afford to carry on doing what he was doing. So as I came in, he explained this to me, and I asked him, what will you do? And he said, well, of course I won't. I will tell them to piss off, and I will never step foot back in the shop again. I've also learned from the same man that someone who's also been going in the shop for many years got asked similar questions, and he basically told them to shove it, and he's never going to go back in there again. It's really concerning because what gets me the most is you should not have the invasion of your privacy, but the people who you'll be presenting this info to behind the till are young kids who are working behind the tills who will be getting access to all of your information. It's just totally wrong. It shouldn't be allowed. And for one, it's going to reduce turnover for all of these shops. And it could potentially affect the people who are having to ask these questions, because if turnover does reduce that much, they're going to be out of work themselves, lack of customers. And in such a small environment, in small towns, wherever you are, you're just going to detract away from people who want to keep going back and feel uncomfortable doing so. So all of these affordability checks, that's just one example of what happened recently in the shop that I was in. And I just wanted to see what you guys think about the biggest concern I have is people having access to your personal information, potentially like bank statements, who really, anyone away from financial advisors, when you apply for mortgages, banks, these are the only people that should be allowed to see it. Just really think it's fucking shit.
Yeah, man, I agree. And it goes like a couple of ways, I think, with that. I'll just crack on with this, Jamie, because this grinds my gears anyway. But Jamie's just said it straight in here. It's not fair to the people in the fucking shops that have to ask these fucking questions. I used to work in a betting shop, right? Basically, I mean, this isn't part of the rant, but I still love the fact that when I went for my interview for the betting shop, she said to me, first question I've got is, why were you in my fucking betting shop before you turned 18? Because 2 days after I turned 18, I went for a job at the shop that I've been betting in for the previous 3 years. He was talking fast because I put it on fast. It was fine. It's fine. Anyway, so yeah, but like in those instances, like it's youngsters, right? So you get two types of people that might want to work in a betting shop. Some that just want to make a bit of money, think it's a nice little cushy number. Some people that give a shit about betting. My experience of betting shops now is they don't know anything about betting. They are just people that want to work in a shop. That's probably quite a harsh statement to make, but they're youngsters, they're inexperienced. And as much as you want to look after the welfare of customers, when I used to work in the betting shop, I've said this multiple times before, the amount of people I've seen do their fucking brains in a betting shop that used to make me feel really uncomfortable. Like I didn't like to see, I didn't want to see, I wasn't encouraging people to gamble irresponsibly, but I'd speak to him sometimes and like not necessarily tell people what to do with their money, but there'd be sometimes I'd say to a mate, he'd do like 500-600 quid on like an A10 at home. And I'd say to him, you could buy every dog in the race for the amount of money you're putting on there. And I said, like it's unreliable betting. There's better opportunities later in the day, but he still wanted to bet. It's not up to me to educate people on what they want to do. They can do what the fuck they want with their money, can't they? But it makes me feel sad that if I was working in the betting shops now, so if these rules were in there back then, I'd have to be saying to people, I'm not going to accept any more bets from you because I think you've got a problem. And how am I supposed to have like more of a, I don't know, more knowledge of what the person's capable of doing than the person themselves? Then they're obviously saying there, you have to give them your bank details to make a judgment. But it's still not your fucking choice or your say so to say in there, because you're not qualified to say whether they are or they aren't. Like mortgage and stuff are done based on lots of data and risk. Financial advisors like Scotty touches on there, they do the same thing. It's risk, and it depends on what the risk profile is of the customer. But they're not going to do this. They're not going to say to someone, if like a financial advisor, because my dad is, if you've got someone that's very risk adverse, you would invest their money in a safe option with whatever way they wanted to do it. If they're full of risk, you might risk it. You might put it into something that might take longer term to get money, or might be like, just, I don't know, obviously more risk of it getting fucked. These affordability checks don't equate that stuff in there. They just want to. I don't really know what the point of trying to achieve it is, and it does piss me off, especially for the older generation, the people that used to go in the bookies, that they now can do, like potentially do their bollocks on a losing run, which is inevitable within this game anyway. But they're then told, we don't want to check anything right from the bat. We're going to check everything after you start losing a few bets. If they start winning a few bets, potentially they're going to do exactly the same. No matter what you do, they're just going to tell you what's happening. If your circumstances change and you start earning more money or you start earning less money, are they going to continue to keep monitoring your details for it to fluctuate? And at the end of the day, you're allowed to do whatever the fuck you want, aren't you? You go into a pub, if you're too pissed, they'll refuse to serve you beer. That's their prerogative. But you can go and have a bet somewhere else, can't you? You can go and have a drink somewhere else. With the betting, the way that it's going to go, you won't be able to bet anywhere. They'll have to make it one big, wide organisation, one thing that if someone's blocked from betting in one bookmaker, you'd have to get blocked everywhere. Because if they're doing it from a welfare perspective, you can't allow people to go from one shop to another. It's almost like negligence, isn't it? It's just bad. But there are, from experience from working in the betting shop, I know lots of people that have done their absolute bollocks and done not horrifically bad things, but stupid shit like smashing things up or things that they regretted in the wake of it. So there's a bit of a balance with that, but I don't know how you fix it. At the end of the day, you can try and educate people as much as you want, can't you? But if people don't want to listen, they're not going to listen. And that's why I try with the betting stuff. I don't know everything, but I would rather, I don't know, try and let people learn from my experience or my mistakes to make them better betters. We're all got to start out somewhere, haven't we? But the inevitable part of getting good at something is you have to do it. You have to go through the mill, don't you? And if it costs you a few quid, like universities, but people spend £30,000 on a university qualification they're never going to get. If I want my education to be, I'm going to do my bollocks for 5 years and drop £6,000 a year on betting, but the experience I get from that's going to be educational. It's up to me what I fucking spend the money on, isn't it? It just annoys me because it's not even about the nanny state of like controlling people what they're spending. It's just severely targeted at gambling, and that's what's winding me up more than anything. It's a bit like, you know, the petition that's being put up there, which is always going to come up on the show anyway. You see Kevin Blake share the petition after it's been out there for days. It was on like, I don't know, I think 8,000 extra people had done it. But you look at the Twitter reach, because it shows you at the bottom, and there's, I don't know what it was, like 85, 90,000 people had seen it, and you've only got 50,000 people that put it on there. I know this is definitely like open to interpretation what people want to say about it, but it just goes to show most people don't give a don't necessarily like give a fuck about it. At the end of the day, if the government are going to decide that we can't bet on it, there's nothing much we can do about it. And if there's bookmakers out there that employ thousands of people that can't get 100,000 signatures for a petition, it's not going to do anything, is it? That petition stuff's a load of bollocks as well, because the reason they changed it from it would be debated in Parliament to it will be considered is because people were setting up shitty petitions just for a joke, weren't they? And they were getting millions of fucking signatures for it. It just shows with racing that we can't even get 100,000 people to pull together when everyone's like desperately begging for it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's something else that should be done. Anyway, I don't know what the answers are. I'm just trying to be ignorant about it and just think, fuck it. If they decide I can't bet, I can't bet. Well, they don't. I'm just going to keep betting. How do you see it, Jamie? Because it's just, there is no answer, is there?
At the moment, Dave, we're in a bad situation, really, aren't we? It's a thing about uncertainty, really, in the whole game. I see there that it needs 100,000. Like we can't over here, we can't have a say. Like, do you know what I mean? Which is like British and Irish racing, it kind of goes hand in hand. Like, do you know what I mean? I suppose it's not our constituency, it's not our country. That's what it is. 100k people to see it be read out in Parliament. And we can't even get it. We can't even get it yet. Like, it was what, 66,000 at the moment. Still needs 34,000 for it even to be considered. I think it's ludicrous what's going on. The intrusive checks for people. Like, what is the whole point, in my opinion, of GDPR?
Yeah.
Then, do you know what I mean? What is the whole point of it? This thing about GDPR. We're not supposed to know your information. If you put it this way, we're going to protect your information. What, do you have a bank statement because you've had a €10 bet on something? Or on, if you went, there's loads of people who still go into the bookies, Dave, and don't like going in to an ordinary shop and doing a quick pick on the lotto. They prefer to do their 3 numbers, €5, €10, doesn't matter, €2, right, on their lotto in the bookies. The bookie shops now, from where I'm from, are half, or I'd say, I've walked around town last time into a few of them. You're lucky to see 4 or 5 people in there anymore. And it's sad, I suppose. I know the online game has come in big, but that's sad, really, to be honest. And it's people's jobs at the end of the day. It's people's job. This is a start. This is not going to affect, this is going to affect the betting shop down the bottom of the totem pole. But what's going to happen when there's no revenue created from betting?
Exactly.
What is this going to happen to people who are in racing, put out these things like we're doing here, and are still on TV, right? And what's going to happen? Do you know what I mean? If there's no one betting on racing, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? Are people going to be watching it? I very much doubt it. That's just my opinion. If you can't have it, what you can afford to have on a horse, and you want to sit down on a Saturday, you might go into the betting shop the old way I used to do. Go into the betting shop, have your bets, go home, watch it. When you were underage, not down the pub every Saturday when you had a few bob, maybe, and just sit down and watch it with your friends. That will all go. Yeah. And they haven't a clue, and that will go, and I know it will, right? I suppose the other side of it is they're saying because of the checks of the problem gamblers, but there's loads of support now for people who are problem gamblers. It's up to them. As I said, you're repeating myself from previous episode there a couple of episodes back. That's up to you if you want to go down that road. It's no one forcing you. It's you're the one who did it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But there's loads of support out there now. But I tell you another day, the damage, and owners now are coming out of the game, and trainers. Imagine you play X amount for a horse, you pay X amount for training fees, X amount for vets, and you need affordability check to have a bet on your own horse. That is absolutely ludicrous. It is a disgrace. It's going to be a huge catastrophic effect on the industry. They have no clue of that, and a lot of people will be unemployed. And what's going to happen then? That's just my opinion on it. I think it's absolute nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. To tell you what you're spending on your hard money that you earn, and tell you can't spend it because you like to have a bet on a Saturday, please no.
I do agree with that. The tricky thing as well with it though is it's not just because of horse racing. It's because of betting. Full stop. So it's stuff in the past. We saw what those roulette machines were like in betting shops. They would just crack.
As I said, that was going to happen, Dave. As I said, with the decline of that, you can only have £2 on the fruit machine inside in a betting shop.
Yeah, exactly. And then, but there's other there's the bingo stuff where I've heard horrible stories of people, especially elderly people, lonely people that were going there for the social aspect, that were doing their bollocks, and bookmakers were pushing them to put more money in there. So I don't know, I guess they got to cover themselves in some sense, but the biggest problem is the fact that horse racing is, whether you like it or not, directly linked with betting. Because I don't know if I get any shit for this. I don't suppose I should, but if I couldn't bet, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be interested in horses in the same way. I wouldn't go horse racing just to watch them run round. However, there's more money bet on things like football and other sports where if betting stopped, football would just continue. So, and that's where the biggest problem, I think, comes in, that it's only the horse racing world that actually give a shit about the affordability checks. The rest of the world is just they still want to have a bet, but at the end of the day, they're just it doesn't the be all and end all. It's not like the be all and end all of their sport. It's just a weird situation. I can't, again, it probably is ignorant, but I can't believe that it's ever going to come to the point where you can't have a bet. So I think they will get it sorted out. I don't know what they're trying to do. The fact there's loads of casinos that are setting up as bookmakers now makes me feel that it's probably going to end up going to a terminal or a pool type thing, or I don't know, some sort of weird side thing with it.
It'd be kind of like a thing when you go into America. So
that's what I think.
It'd be like America. You go in, you have your beer, you pay maybe X amount for your beer before you go in the door, and then you'll get a ticket like that, and you can have a few bets, and you get a ticket back, you scan it, the money comes out. Something like that. It'll be like America. If we go down that road.
It's just mad, and it's a never-ending topic to discuss. No one, I say, no one really knows. Excuse me. Sure, there's plenty of people that know it in better depth than I do, but it's just there has been lots of times in the past where some really bad shit's happened because people have done their bollocks on gambling, and I've talked about it a few times. I've had times when I was younger where I'd drop a whole pay packet online after going out for the beers on casinos or whatever. And like as much as it's no one else's responsibility to stop us doing those things, there is an element of, if I was in the pub and I was drinking to excess, someone would stop me. And I know people will say, well, you could have gone to the supermarket and bought a fuck ton of booze, but that's more calculated. It's the spur of the moment. You're doing something because you're not in the right frame of mind or whatever it is, the knee-jerk stuff.
But on that point, Dave, I see what you're saying, right? And this is where the online has come in, is that the fact of the matter is exactly what you're saying. Technically, you would spend less in a pub, right? Sorry, you'd spend more. Sorry, wrong there. Technically, right, you'd actually drink more and spend less on the beer and back more at home, if you know what I'm trying to say to you.
Yeah.
That you drink, like you can get a 24 crate of whatever for less, and you'd spend more money because you'd have more money for gambling.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you go into the pub, you'd spend more and probably spend equally as amount on gambling. And that's more money then. Do you know what I mean? I've often done it. As you said, on a Friday, earning loads of money when I was just finished school, coming off a building site. And then you're on a Friday and you have loads of money and you just like, oh, come on, we go drinking. Come on, we'll have a few bets. Do you know what I mean? And stupid all weather on a Friday night. You know, and then
exactly.
You're on to Saturday chasing it back. Do I have more money for beer? Do you know what I mean? Work on Monday. Am I skint by Monday? Do you know what I mean?
It's just because it's
like, as you do is when you're younger, but then when you get older, it kind of wises up to it. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, I hope people wise up to it.
But they just brought so many bad things in there. So even with online betting is the reason why this has all come out, because people can do it 24/7. When I used to work in the betting shop, online betting accounts are sort of maybe only just started to come out. But like the only place you could get a bet on really was in the bookies. You could do your bollocks between the hours of like 8 o'clock and 6 o'clock. If you wanted to have a bet after that, you need to wait till the next day. There was no impulsive stuff, or you'd have to go for the effort of going to a casino to do it. But like I say, people like I know people that there was like a guy I used to work with, like he tried to kill himself after doing his bollocks betting. He used to work in a betting shop, did his bollocks betting, stole money out of the safe to chase money on a roulette machine. Yeah. Was shitting himself about getting found out about that, so fucked off and tried to kill himself in the Thames, and then lived on the street for a couple of months just because he didn't want to go home, all that sort of stuff. And then he was found by the sea police. Didn't even know they were a thing. It pops up in the In-Betweeners before. But yeah, he tried to jump in the Thames again. Oh, TV's just come on. But yeah, but that's like a first-hand experience of someone that's done their bollocks just irresponsibly, but because there was no one there to stop him doing it. Give me a sec. Sorry, I'm back. So I know they are the minority, right? And it doesn't happen very often, but it's like again, he was in a position where he could do shit on his own. Like when they did the betting shops and you were allowed to work on your own, there was no one there checking if he was betting on the machines or doing stuff. And I know that it should be fine, but like solo drinking and people drinking in private, doing drugs in private, where people use it as the comparison. I know it obviously does happen, but I just don't see it happen as much. Like you can't just quickly pop to the toilet, pretend you're taking a shit from the missus and drop £1,000. Yeah. Well, you can do that, but you can't quickly pop to the toilet and do a fucking jab yourself up with heroin and no one else notices the difference straight away. Like you can walk in, pretend everything's fine. No one else has got a fucking clue what's going on. And it's because of the online stuff. The world we live in now, it's too instant and everyone wants it straight away. I do get scared. Mm-hmm. That something needs to be done. This is far too extreme, which is why I'm being a bit ignorant to it, because I don't believe it will ever happen. And the thing as well is, right, I know some betting shops can be a little bit funny, and I know it's effort for people to go about, but the people that want to have a bet and want to be, I say, potentially serious about it, like if it's just recreationally doing it for a bit of fun, and this bit of fun's now got to stop, well, fuck it, find something else to do. If you're trying to do it to punt or you want to get a few quid on, like there's a few people I know that I don't bet that much to do it, but like if I wanted to go and have a few quid on a dog, I could just or a horse, I just have to go to 20 shops. Like if I was that desperate to get the money on, it was that much value, or that's what I wanted to do, I'd just do shop runs, or I'd start paying people to do it. So it's just a question of everything, of how hard you want it, doesn't it? And the day and age we live in, everyone just expects everything to be a piece of piss. You don't have to work for it. It should be on my fingertips. I should be able to have £1,000 on Bet365 because they priced up a horse wrong and I know it. Whereas you shouldn't be able to. If you're doing something just to exploit, like a mistake by someone else, then you're the person that's taking advantage of it. So if you want to have the big bet on something because you want to do it, then you do whatever it takes. Go to a race course, do whatever it is. That's what used to happen. When I used to have reasonable sized bets with my dad, we'd make a whole fucking day of it. We book a hotel down at Kempton. We went there once to back. Can't remember the name of the horse now. We went down there to back something in the. They used to do that shitty hurdle race that So Raw ran in. I don't know. But it was a
VAUBAN.
Can't remember what it was. Anyway, but we booked a hotel, we booked a night out for dinner, all that sort of stuff. I think we'd had 400 quid on this horse at 6 to 4. We're supposed to go off 4 to 6, and I think it did go off about that sort of price. But I mean, we made an occasion of it. Nowadays, people just can do their bollocks in the first race on ITV7 and then just go chasing the whole fucking day and think it's okay. And they class that as all variance, all that sort of stuff. So it is hard, but the whole fucking thing needs a governing body. I've said it before with like the tipping stuff and all those types of things. It needs some sort of like financial conduct thing. If they're saying that they need to be careful of what people are doing with their money, irresponsibly or responsibly, there needs to be an external third party that monitors all this stuff that will look after those bits of information with people and will say, yeah, that's fine. And we'll look at it from a reasonable perspective.
But Dave, when you open an account, right, and you're there for a while and they haven't touched or whatever, right, there is an option for limit setting.
Oh, I know there is, but that's where it should start, shouldn't it?
It should start there. It should be up in bold, huge writing in front of the screen when you're logging on that you set a limit. And it's up to you then. But there should be more, maybe slightly more stringent features on it that it does really scrutinize you a small bit more to get the limit setting in. Just my opinion, because as I said, Joe, exactly what you're saying. I've seen many a good man being ruined from gambling. I will say that. I know plenty of people. Which is sad, and they're lovely fellas at the end of the day. But as I say, repeating myself, is that it's getting too much now, and to me, it's not about gambling. It's not about gambling. It's about people's life and
Agreed.
Jobs are going to go. And it's what are people supposed to do when they've lived in this industry, their whole life. And
I do worry. That's why, especially like when Scotty says it there, and you think of like the older generation that are, like they've just always done this. It kills me to think that they can't do it. But I would definitely say, well, with no stats to back this up, but just feeling and all that sort of stuff. It was Silver Street, correct? Would be like again, even if someone could find me some numbers that says I'm wrong, it's bollocks. More people now will have like irresponsibly gambled and done stupid shit with their money than they would have done back in the good old days, especially with like the whole cashless world we're in and all that sort of stuff. Like I know now that there's more people that would fuck up, and that's not to say that we have to like baby everyone and all that sort of stuff, but the rate that it accelerated with betting and the ease of it, and then especially like people have touched on in here, right? Like tipping services will get your Saturday punter all of a sudden betting midweek and all those sorts of things, which is like, I guess, like it's fine. People are buying into something, aren't they? But it's, I don't know. There's just loads of exposure, loads of opportunities, and all sorts of stuff. Where rather than it being about, I don't know, the Saturday on like football on Saturdays, the 3 p.m. in it. You go for the beers before, you go for the beers after. It's about like the occasion, and the betting's all good and following that stuff makes you feel part of it. It's just one of those things to do. Then people like that, I know they'll bet on anything, but they're not. I don't know. It doesn't take over their life. I don't think as much as horse racing does.
This gets me onto my point I'm going to make, whatever, and this is coming on last week's show and the comments that were down in the box, and people are taking their opinion. I'll just make my point, a small point on it. I love the bit of banter, you know me. My point is about you're trying to do, or like everyone, right? And a fella in the industry said that I have no interest in tipsters that don't show a profit and loss, right? But still will go on a YouTube channel and convey his horses, give his opinion on horses, which is fair enough. So you have to go down the line. Are you in the punting profit and loss game? Are you a tipster?
Yeah.
Are you on a talk show on YouTube? Do you know what I mean? Which we are. And a lot of people who do great content out there and put their face in front of a camera and talk about the game we love, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to take their at face? Like you stick with a few, or you watch them all, right? Are we in a talk show? Are we in for tips and profit and loss? Or are we analysts of racing? So I would like to give it to the audience there and put it in the comments box afterwards if you want, or put in the live feed here if you want. Is that what people want? Do you know what I mean? Do you want to just listen to people talk about a few horse racing and give their opinion on the race and give a selection and not worry about it afterwards? Do you know what I mean? It's up to you then afterwards if you want to back the horse and take my opinion, your opinion, whoever's opinion. So I like to put people's opinion on it. Are you a tipster for profit and loss? Are you on a talk show? Or are you a racing analyst? Do you know what I mean? And that's just my opinion.
That's the nuts thing of it as well. That's why I end up waffling so much, because I want to convey that I am putting in the effort. Like there have been times in the past where I've not been able to study a race properly. We've done a preview, and in the past I might have tried to make a bit of a case for it. And I watch you back, and I'm like, mate, it's embarrassing, because you can tell that I don't know what I'm fucking talking about because I haven't looked at it. And then I felt bad after, because I'm like, I've actually tipped up a horse in a race that I haven't really studied, and there probably will be someone at home that's going to have a bet on it. So like, I feel like a moral obligation to, I don't know, like be in depth and stuff with it. That's why, like, more so now, especially because of the fact that with my redundancy and I'm taking some like paid work with Gigi, and I'm hopeful of, like, I don't know, using the redundancy time to do more YouTubey stuff, or to try and look at some like betting trading systems and, like, I don't know, get passive income, whatever it's going to be. But I feel like if I'm reaching the point where, before I was making money punting, right, and I made a little bit of money from YouTube, like you've seen the stuff that I share with you, it is a very little amount of money. I'm doing it because otherwise, if I don't put ads up there, they'll get it anyway. It's a couple of quid, goes to some giveaways and stuff. But I don't want to say like I wasn't a takeout, but like I didn't owe anyone anything as far as I'm concerned. Like, I was giving my opinion. If you want to listen to it, listen to it. If you don't want to listen to it, don't listen to it. I do feel more obliged now that I'm like, when I get paid, especially for the Gigi stuff and those types of things, I do feel more of a responsibility to share the profit and loss. But I also want to let people make people very aware of like what I'm staking, because it's all relative to what people are doing. Because what's a big bet to me might be a small bet to someone else, or what's a small bet to me might be a big bet to someone else. But I still feel like in the whole ghost of it that it, I don't know, the more that is, I don't think it's going to do any harm by me sharing what's going on. Oh no,
I'm not saying that.
I know you're not, but
you're putting your neck. We're all putting our neck on the line.
Oh, exactly, and regardless of what we're doing with those bits,
my small point I'm making, Dave, really, and I'm not quibbing nobody, right?
No, I know you're not.
It's that the fact of the matter is that, like, people are putting out content out there, and they're not doing the side what you're trying to. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And
but like, they're allowed to do that, aren't they? That's what I mean. The people that are doing the content, people don't have to put this stuff up.
Yeah, it's just realize that we're trying to put opinion out there. We love the game. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's all it is. It's just like being with mates in a pub and talking horses, isn't it?
I watch racing every day. Do you know what I mean?
And that's exactly it. That's why the Tony Calvin thing was like, I like it's like almost feels like the biggest nothing thing in my mind, because he's talking about the fact that he wanted to reset it after a bad spell because of like his psychological state and all that sort of stuff. I read it a little bit, but like, as far as I was concerned, it's not like he was saying, I'm going to start from zero and everybody has to forget about the losses. Everyone needs to forget that I lost some money at some point. He's saying, for his own mental being for betting, he's considering whether he wants to continue doing this because he's on a fucking shit run. He wants to separate the flat from the jumps, which I think he does every single season. But I think from what he's saying from his head is, he just wants to start blank, right? He's had a bit of a bad run. He's unfortunately taken too much of a toll on him, and he doesn't want to look at the rolling stuff. He wants to say, right, fuck it, I'm drawing a line in the sand now, and I'm going to see how I get on for a period of time. And I imagine if he does his bollocks, exactly, and if he does his bollocks in 6 months or a year or something, it's not because he's in the wrong mindset. It's not because he's overthinking stuff. It's because he's a shit judge. And I would imagine off his own back, whether it happens or not, but I imagine off his own back, he would probably be like, if I'm not actually making people money, I don't want to be getting paid to do this, or I don't want to share my opinion because it's not responsible enough thing to do. And that's where it is all fine with it. But you get the same people again that are just like I don't know, make it out like it's a terrible, horrible shame that he's doing, like he's done it behind people's back. Because there are hundreds, there's probably not. There are loads of people that I know that fudge profit and loss that get paid by companies. I know lots of people that don't apply Rule 4s. I know lots of people that like literally just make fucking shit up. They advertise profit and losses from years before. They put all sorts of shit in there. There'll be things they don't actually even tip up, but it may get a mention that they will then put in their profit and loss. It's beyond me. But like, some people might try and call them out. Some people might not try and call them out. At the end of the day, you're the person that's viewing it. You have to vet someone. And unfortunately, through life experience, if you trust someone and then they're dishonest, life lesson, move on it. You either carry on listening to him and just put it down to just one thing, or you just fuck it off.
Exactly what he's saying. Tony Galvin was trying to say that, look, I kind of apologizing in a way, wasn't he? Really deep down, and he's saying, like, you followed me through watching me, and that I can't believe that I've let people down. And that's basically, it was the back end of in his heart, behind all his face, was saying that I've let people down, in a way. And he didn't really. Come on, give the boy a break, like, in fairness to the man. But as I say, another last point I'll make on it is that we're here to guide people, if they want to listen to us, in a way, towards a horse that we fancy.
Well, exactly.
Which is great to see. And people enjoy it. If they don't enjoy it, that's fine. And I have no problem with that either. No problem at all.
Yeah, and that's like I would do, like, especially when I was younger, right? I used to go to the pub with my mates. None of my mates were really into the horses. We'd talk about football or whatever it was, have a few beers. As soon as I started going racing, like with my dad or with some of those people, to talk to those people about horse racing, I was buzzing. I'd be excited to see them, all that sort of stuff. And now we've got a situation where we can have that community. Like, obviously, Facebook, when I set that up all those years ago, asked if anyone wanted to come and do a video. You put your name bravely forward for it. And then here we are 6 years later doing it. Like Scotty that sends a voice note in, met Scotty through the Facebook stuff. Like, it's awesome to be able to just discuss horses with nice people. Over the years, there are lots of people that I've spoken to that, I don't know, like over time, my opinion of them's changed. There's lots of people that my opinion hasn't changed, or it's greatly improved. But there's lots of people that I've spoken to that I'm like, over a period of time, you'd be like, you're just a fucking guesser and I know it. But that's your prerogative, isn't it? That's up to you to do it. It's just that it all boils down to, we're sharing information. What we want to absorb is what we want to absorb. There is no gospel with it. And we are in a day and age now where everything's instant and everything's available. So the same as if you wanted to Google, fuck, my foot hurts, and it says you're about to die, ignorance sometimes is bliss, isn't it? Like, if you want to bet on horse racing and you don't want to hear other people's opinions, don't go looking for them. But if you do want to hear other people's opinions because you want to take it as an educated thing, don't take it as gospel. Unless you speak to a professional, you are diagnosing yourself when you Google stuff. And the same with this horse racing stuff. If you don't look at a horse race and you watch this video and then you bet off the back of our selections, fair play to you, because we put the study in there and I feel like you can trust us, but it doesn't mean we're going to actually guarantee make you money or anything like that. But you have to just accept the fact that it was your choice to listen to what someone said. But I do want to, like, especially with the profit and loss stuff, like, I don't want to missell myself. Like, over the years with the anti-post betting, I used to share the profits on that. I know I made money out of that. With the day-to-day punting stuff, it's been different. I've got profit and losses on my Betfair account, which I shared that when I was doing some stuff through the summer. But especially when this redundancy comes through for the next year, I want to see if I can make it pay. I want to see what difficulties we get with the affordability checks and what the alternative stuffs are. And hopefully, but not necessarily educate people, but share the journey of, this is the reality of, if you want to try and take it a bit more seriously, then this is what the actual outcome potentially could be. Doesn't mean just because if I failed, everyone would. Doesn't mean if I was successful, doesn't mean everyone would. But like Daryl went through the situation, didn't he? Took the plunge, the abuse and sort of stuff you get for that, for whatever it is, people just giving you shit. You put yourself in that situation, didn't you? We choose to do this, and we're aware that sometimes we're going to say something and someone might be pissed off with it. It's not our intention to do it, but it's what it is, isn't it? The same as we'll do it. And then sometimes people will say, oi, Jamie, you gave us loads of winners this week. Or the same with me. People are happy about it. It's not all sunshine and lollipops, but the fundamental reason why I do this is because I want to make money betting, and having the opportunity to talk about it loads, to be able to focus on the horses, almost to have that moments when you're tired, you're fed up of doing it, you're going through like a shitty spell or something. You guys, and especially like speaking to people like you and Darren and stuff, you guys get me through the shitty bits to carry on doing this, because you can't like worry about what happened before. And with Tony saying there about wanting to reset his profit and loss, it's a good message that he's sending out, because there'll be people at home that have done their bollocks. They might watch these shows and think, I'm not saying anyone does think this, but they might watch these shows and think, well, we're never going to be like Dave and Jamie. We're never going to be making like a couple of £100 on a weekend or whatever it is. They may be going for a shitty spell. Everyone fucking does. But if mentally it's pissing you off because you're concentrating on what you've lost, either stop betting or forget about it. And if you can't forget about it, then do what Tony's done and just fucking say, right, it's a clean start. That's why I always used to stop on the flat, because after Cheltenham, it's time consuming. I wanted to get a clear head, fresh head going into it, because once you take a step back from it, it's much easier to just take it for what it is. But it's a mad world, isn't it? No, you can't do wrong for doing right. Everyone's just, at the end of the day, we're just everyone's just talking about horses, isn't they? That's all it is. Simple,
Exactly.
right? Why can't we all just get along? On that, I didn't do this at the start of the show, the profit and lossy stuff. So when we did talk about my horses, I'm 9% negative return on investment. So 150 quid went out on Saturday, 56.87 came back, so 93.13. So it's £991 of stakes I've put on in those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. 899.59 back, so 90 quid loss, almost 10% return on investment. But it is like a long-term game. It's easy to say that when you're in the losing spells. Say it the same as when it's in the winning spells. We'll see how things go through the season. As I say, this is the first time I've done it with sharing bets. Jamie, you smashed your video you put out there. I don't want to be rude, but like we don't owe anybody anything from the stuff that we're doing on here. Like I said, when I'm doing the paid work, I feel a little bit more like obliged to it. But we don't have to do any of this stuff. But I do like it's hard as well. When especially when you did your video, that there's still going to be bets to have over the weekend, isn't there? So how do you possibly ever tell anybody else to milk exactly the same?
I staked over 220 something euros a weekend, and I got back 170 odd or something like that. And I wouldn't have if Bonte and Max Main won today, so I would have been down about 150 quid. So that's life.
Exactly, and that's the reality of it. Even if you've got like a paid for service that you're looking at, or there's people that you follow, you have to accept that it's impossible for them to tell you everything. And as much as if they're giving you a load of shit and they're losing money, but they're saying they're winning from somewhere else from other bets, that's almost like a bit of a flag. But it could be possible. But if they're making money on something else that they're not telling you about, then what they're potentially advising people is what they should do on that. So again, who knows with this stuff? If with the betting stuff, I'm pretty sure I can do all right with the betting, but we're going to find out this season for sure. The trading stuff, again, I think I can do well out of it. But as soon as I get some time to put some systems in place, I'll do that. And if it gets to that point where if I want to put stuff out there to share that with people, whether they're interested or not, if I think I found something that I reckon can make people money, I'm pretty sure a few of you would be interested to hear about it. And I might start looking at sharing those systems and the journey of those bits. But I do also think that we've got such a good, loyal following. And even lots of the other content producers that do it out there as well, the nice people, the people that you can just tell are doing it for the right reasons, which I think is the majority, have got a nice low following, win, lose or draw. They don't really ultimately care if we give them winners or not, because most people have got a fucking opinion on them. Most people have got a head on them, and they're more than happy to shoot us down. But that's the point of it. It's an opinion thing. Just because we've said something and we've got a YouTube channel doesn't mean we fucking know any more than anyone else. I mean, we know more than some people on the chats. Some of the big fucking comments are shit in it. I'm joking. We just all try to get along, ain't we? Right, I'm definitely waffling now, mate. Is there anything else we need to cover, do you think?
I suppose we might do something on Thursday, Dave. There's too many horses there that you could go through and make. I've a list as long as my arm here. I suppose tomorrow, good opening beginners chasing there. A lot of people's horses, Sandra Cleggan's running, and Imagine, and I Know Your Way, I think it is in it. The horse who was touted last year, is running the maiden hurl on Tubber. I heard now that horse has had a bad injury, so hopefully it retains the ability. 47, bit skinny into Absolute Notions running. The horse from last year was second to good land at the DRF. I suppose staying over hurdles could be a potential stayer hurdle. You never know. Is he that ability yet? Jury's very much out. There's a few at Warwick, isn't there? Jinko, Blue and Kintail for Henderson, and there's Iroko, who won the Martin Pipe. Chepstow, I suppose there's a nice beginner, the novice is in handicap, but Chepstow, isn't there? Just two horses have tied the form in with the Talbot, with Nami in line, and it's Colonel Harry and Timoris. I suppose Timoris, who beat Botham in the Talbot, I suppose always look the stamp of a chase around a bit of soft ground around Chepstow. Be interesting race to watch for the future. I suppose that's about it, really, Dave. I suppose on Thursday, is Clonmel and that's the return of Allaho. It looks a good race if a couple of good horses turn up, like Fakir Judery, French Dynamite, and the Enigma that is Mr. Bob Allinger. Looks like it's going to run, so that'll be good. And I suppose the Mayor's Chase is another one. Allegory de Massey, Mascada, and of course that I put up there a couple of episodes ago, Limerick Lace might be running as well. Looking at the form, they're both rated 151. But Allegory de Vassy has to give £10 to Mascada, so that's tipping me towards Mascada. But it's first time out, and I won't be having a bet. It'll be just two watching Breeze, and I just want for the future, really, basically.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff, and that's the key thing. Like everyone at home knows the same as well. Like you can enjoy watching the race without having a bet. I know I said it before. Like if you couldn't bet, I wouldn't go horse racing. But I mean, overall, I've had many a race day where I would go there. But I'm going there to potentially gain information to do something with it in the future.
Oh, you must share those bets. Can you share those bets about VAUBAN?
Oh yeah, I mean I've got so basically my mates in like a splinter Cheltenham group. What I mean by that is we've got a Cheltenham group where we fucking talk about anti-post bets. He's in a group of his other mates. They're all, I mean, it's not rude, but like they're a bit like noddy punters, some of the people, but then some of them are in there are fucking proper rock solid judges. And they just saw, last November, they were like, why the fuck is people putting up VAUBAN to win the Melbourne Cup at 100-1? But Willie Mullins said it, didn't he, after the triumph? He goes, he's a Melbourne Cup horse. We'll go hurdling again for another season. So like if there was a year he was going to do it, was this one. Yeah, so they started doing that. So I think a few of them have got 15s and 20s and 5s and stuff on at 100-1. But I was saying it to my mate, right? This is something from the affordability thing that's mad, especially with the way they might stamp it in there, because it's a loss thing, isn't it? If you do your anti-post bets, you don't lose any money till Cheltenham, right? The first day of Cheltenham goes, and then all of a sudden you've lost £1,000 worth of anti-post bets, but you've actually made £2,000 on the day. They're going to stop. They're going to block your account and say they need to see fucking bank statements before anything else can happen. Mad, isn't it? But for my mate there, right? He's had the £5 bet on VAUBAN. How much fucking value is he got out of that fiver? Like even like tonight, he's buzzing his tits off. He can't wait to potentially stay up and watch the race. I mean, he's not feeling too good this weekend, but like all of that stuff. Like so, the £5. It's not about whether that horse gets beat and he's lost £5. If he'd put £50, he'd put £100 on it. Imagine getting a ride for that much money, whatever it was, the buzz and the feeling of like this, the build up to it. If it goes and gets beat, it's well worth the 5, 10, 15, 20 pound loss, isn't it? But that never gets considered, any of it, does it? But that's where I think it is again. It's the people that are betting 50 quid on Portman Park. They're the people that need to have their fucking accounts closed. But we'll have to see how it goes. On that, VAUBAN just wins, does he? Or is it something that's being overlooked and everyone's just getting a bit too caught up in the hysteria and he could get it's a big handicap, right?
Yeah, but to be honest with you, Dave, it's between the two of them, I think. To be honest with you, it's between VAUBAN and Absurd. Do you know what I mean? Absurd has lighter weight. It has the jockey that Max is he on Max Dynamite? I think he was. Or was it Frankie on Max Dynamite? I don't know, I can't remember. I saw
Frankie rode him once.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah. Look, that's a very hard race to win, like, but it'd be great to see Willie Mullins finally win it. Hopefully. I suppose Dermot Wells, the man who started all this off. No one would have known the Melbourne Cup without Dermot Wells. So I'll get up and watch it. I always get up and watch it. I just like watching it. I don't like watching a race when it's not live. That's just me. Especially a big one like that. Like, do you know what I mean? I'll get up. I'll be awake anyway, so I'll get up and watch it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. See, I'll treat this like a boxing event as well. Like in my old days, I'd go on a session.
Years ago, I'd have to be on the beers now.
But nowadays, same with boxing. I'll just wake up in the morning and just fucking watch it on YouTube for free. But it should be good, right? So yeah, like you said, we'll get some like stuff coming up. We've got loads of guests coming up. I mean, no one's watching the video now. Quite a few guests coming up. Christmas will be around the corner before we know it. There's going to be some good stuff going on. We'll get together as well to do a bit of a Cheltenham-y preview. I mean, it's very early in the season we talk about it, but you know how quick it's going to come around the corner, mate. We're going to get some good fucking shit out there. What I may also toy with, just literally thinking this off the top of my head right now, is I might see about getting a few people involved, like Joe does with the tipping stuff for the Cheltenham things. Mm-hmm. I might put it out to the people. I want you, the Joe public, if you're happy to, when we do a Cheltenham thing, we'll do a compilation of what the punters' picks are for some of the Cheltenham festivals. If we can get a few of you to do it, I'm sure we'll better get a few people in there. But I know for a fact there's a good handful of you, probably 10 or a dozen I can think of, that comment on here regular, good supporters of the show, that I guarantee if I said I'll give you a free £10 bet for everyone of you that puts a video in, I bet a few of you will be quite happy to show your face. Get involved. That's what we want, don't we? It's a community. Everyone get in there. Anyway, right, I'm going to shut the fuck up now because it's been way too long. I've kept you up too late, mate. Again, really appreciate your support. Feel like we've got a good little week to go into. There's some dirty racing this weekend, and then it just gets even filthier in the next few weeks. And then we've got some proper bad boy handicap stuff to get into. Paddy Power Gold Cup, Greatwood Hurdle. I've already promised you, but I promise you again, I will get you the double across those two races without doubt. And also on the November meeting, there is some personal stuff going on with not me directly, but could potentially impact me which could scupper Cheltenham, but I don't think it will scupper Cheltenham. But that's all fine. More important things in life than horse racing. If it doesn't and we're at Cheltenham, there is a very strong chance that we may be pissed going live from a pub in Cheltenham. So if that does happen, I'll stick out a 30-minute warning and then I'll put a pin of what pub we're in. If you want to try and get there to see us live, maybe you can get there. Probably be a Rottercats again, wouldn't it? Booth 7.
A Wetherspoon.
But anyway, thank you guys for your support. Thank you, Jamie, mate. I'm looking forward to it. I'm optimistic about the next few weeks coming up. It's good to get shit off the chest as well, isn't it, mate? And like I know there's a load of doom and gloom and stuff that goes in the world, but like you touched on right at the beginning, the stuff that's going on with Cody, like all this stuff, right? It just puts everything in perspective, doesn't it? Like if someone said to me tomorrow, Dave, you can never have another bet again in your life, as much as it would be like a change in direction, that sort of stuff, far more important things in fucking life than some of this stuff that goes on. So go and say I love you to someone, give your dog a little stroke on the head, and then get ready to do our box this weekend.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Is VAUBAN a non-runner?
No.
Are people taking the piss?
Just seen on Twitter. I mean, it's got to be trolling. Right, we've got to stay live for a second. There's no way.
He's gone.
No way.
Oh, that's a disgrace.
Where have you got that from?
Racing Interest just says it here. Absolute Harper French post, but VAUBAN is out of the Melbourne Cup.
Who's Racing Interest?
Wrong. Some people are saying wrong.
Yeah, someone's just doing it, fucking taking the piss.
It's a mistake. I don't know. It's just loads of people have put it up, and then people are saying it's wrong. Yes.
Right,
wrong,
I'm going on to. Where's it run?
I don't know. It's still in the betting, like.
Where's it on the exchanges?
Is VAUBAN and actually, or have Paddy?
Where does it run? Flemington.
Yeah, people fucked up. People have fucked up on this, or something. A lot of people are saying it. I don't know.
What is it? Flemington the race? I mean, this is terrible.
Yeah.
What time does it run then?
4:00 in the morning.
I mean, there's £20,000 being exchanged currently on him at 100 to 30. There's thousands and thousands £1,000 delay. This is what's wrong with the fucking world. People are talking absolute fucking dog shit. This is live on the exchange right now on VAUBAN. Look how many thousands there is in the pink. If it was a fucking non-runner,
he's still been back. It's a load of bollocks though.
Fucking prick. But again, this is what fucks me off again. This day and age, everyone being so keen to be the fucking first person to get a bit of information out that they don't even fucking fact check. And that's not necessarily just explicit in horse racing, but full stop in like all sorts of walks of the world. Nothing gets checked, does it? Nothing's even comes from a credible source anymore, does it? Do you remember when the BBC News, you'd get the news of them and you'd be like, fucking hell, this must be true because it's them. Nowadays, you get people like that. Some fucking rogue account on Twitter tweets it, and then everyone's telling me VAUBAN's gone. This is why we hate the people, you stupid viewers. I blame Scotty Rudds. No, I'm joking. We're getting them all now. Gallop and Deschamps out for the season. Alaho's just been retired. Anyway, do be careful. But again, this is the sort of stuff. Ignorance is bliss. Just go to bed, enjoy yourself. You're right, Vic, about I need to shut the fuck up. Right. Yeah, but let him be out on the betting on the this. But who's doing? Look. Why this again? This is probably where affordability checks need to come in for more people. If people are betting and not looking at the exchange, then you probably do need to get some affordability checks in your life. Anyway, I'm being such a dick. I'm sorry. I love you all. Thank you for your support. Go on the VAUBAN, and we will see you later in the week. Fingers crossed. Well, mate, say fingers crossed Thursday. We'll probably do something Thursday, whether it's all our bets or an actual preview. We will sort you out for the weekend. Jamie, again, thank you for your time. You guys at home, thanks for your time. And stop giving me little heart attacks, Scotty Bennett. Cheers, boys.
Look.